This cop doesn't understand basic civilian rights, man. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be clickbaiting, but he still gives the information. So I like to watch. So we're just gonna go ahead and get into this.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers trespassing, private property, and identifications, and is brought to us by a private submission. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we dive into the interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Surfshark.
Oh, too bad. We use NordVPN around here.
This episode. On May 11th, 2022, the owner of the office building known as the Atrium in Norcross, Georgia, who we will refer to as Mr. Frank, contacted the police after an individual he had previously asked to leave the property's private parking lot returned and parked their vehicle in the lot. Officer B. Velasquez of the Gwinnett County Police Department responded to the call, approached the individual who had returned to the parking lot, and began to discuss the situation with her. Officer Velasquez's body camera was muted during the first part of the conversation, so we will begin the video mid-dialogue.
We will park right there.
Okay.
And she asked for me to left. Now I parked at Panera Bread because I'm a customer of Panera.
Okay, but you came back. You're not in Panera Bread. You're in their parking lot.
I'm in Panera. See, there is sign here.
Panera Bread parking lot is over there.
Look right there, sign, and it says right here is Panera Bread parking.
Okay.
Does it? If it's
what's your deal? Are you?
Wait, hold on. So she thinks she's parking in Panera Bread and it's somebody else's parking lot, or does Panera Bread and the Atrium share the same parking lot?
No, we're not homeless. We're in the business here.
She says she's a customer of Panera Bread. And Panera Bread does have a sign there that says additional parking lot right here.
Okay, additional parking. Okay, so this buddy needs to go ahead and talk to Panera Bread and tell them to take the sign down. Good luck telling Panera Bread to take the sign down, buddy.
The guy who I told, he's in the back now.
Sorry?
The guy I told him this morning,
Yeah.
he's in the back of the truck now.
Is this your parking lot?
Yes.
Because Panera Bread has a sign that says that this is them too, so.
Jared.
Their son, but this is my parking lot.
Okay, you own the place?
Yes, and I told them already.
All right, so proper investigation. Probably have to go to Panera Bread and ask the management about the whole sign and all that.
Yes.
Let me get your ID, please. How do I know that this is not Panera?
Panera Bread doesn't own this parking lot. And that sign is a mistake. You'll go there, you'll see there's a two-car spelling.
Well, then you need to tell Panera.
That's not what I see. Yeah. Across the street, there's an arrow. I'm not kidding you. Can you read that sign, sir?
This is my property.
Apparently it's Panera's too.
It's Panera's too. You sharing, bro? Yeah, there you go, officer. Come on. I don't know. How did he mess this up? How did the officer mess this up? Because right now, this dude look like a jackass, and I'm in the way, so I look like the jackass. But it is what it is.
We don't, and that's why there's a cover that fell.
I can see clearly from here. The sign's still there.
The sign's still there. So dickhead, bro.
I have no way to verify.
Yeah, you need to verify that. You need some like paperwork that says I own this part of the property at this
all
point.
Of this parking lot is your.
Let's check the county record.
Yeah, I can check that.
Officer Velasquez claims that he cannot ask the woman to leave because a sign across the street indicates that Panera Bread customers can park in the lot. According to Mr. Frank, the previous owner of the property had an agreement with the restaurant that allowed Panera customers to use the Atrium's lot as overflow parking, but he terminated that agreement when he assumed ownership of the property.
Is he saying that the contract is now null and void? Because technically, yeah, they had it with the last owner. The current owner would have to say, we have that agreement.
Instead of removing an old sign that pointed to the Atrium lot, Panera management covered the old sign with a new one, which fell off on the date of this incident. According to section 16-7-21 of the Georgia Code, quote, a person commits the offense of criminal trespass
Never mind.
when he or she
knowingly without when you knowingly try and stay somewhere you're not supposed to be, you're trespassing. If you want to hear the actual verbatim what the law says, go ahead and link in the description. Check out Audit's video.
From the property and forbid them from returning. Even if the sign was accurate and the lot was still used for Panera overflow parking, as the owner of the property, a court would very likely conclude that Mr. Frank had the legal authority to trespass any individual from the property for nearly any reason.
Okay.
Let's see. So would Panera Bread has a sign there that says,
I have an agreement with the previous owner.
Why haven't you taken civil action for them to remove that?
I did. I went and spoke to them and they put the cover.
Okay. So I'm on the owner's side, right? Currently, I'm on the owner's side. The last owner said, you guys can park here. Agreement with Panera Bread. New owner shows up. He goes to Panera Bread. Hey, I don't want this additional parking sign here. Please get rid of it. They go ahead and put a covering over the sign saying you can park here. And then since they did a poor job at doing it, the sign fell down. So this is all Panera Bread fault. This ain't the manager's fault. This ain't the officer's fault. This ain't the lady's fault. This is whoever decided to put that bullcrap covering on and it fell off. It's their fault. If there's going to be a lawsuit, currently, right now, if there's going to be a lawsuit, it's going to be on Panera Bread's side.
It's not, sir. She says she's a customer of Panera and this is additional parking.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know you and I don't own this place, so I don't know.
I'm happy to verify that.
Yeah. You got to have to bring verification because he can't really do nothing. What you say and what the sign says and all this other stuff is hearsay. Until you bring out some paperwork that formally says, hey, we ended all partnership with Panera Bread. That at least that's what you need. A paper saying me and Panera Bread do not have, any type of partnership, and signed for you, signed for Panera Bread, dated, signed for a third party that witnessed it. It's a lot of crap. Or Panera Bread could just remove the sign.
This is my house. Panera Bread can send people here.
That's the thing. You probably should take civil action and tell Panera Bread to remove that sign. Don't you agree?
At this point, it's like a no
You
contest.
think a cover will be enough? If your neighbor puts a sign,
I'm asking them to leave. I don't
if a
understand
neighbor,
why
I'm trying to explain, but you want to get your way, and
I'm asking them to leave.
okay, ask them again. I'm not gonna violate their civil
I'm
rights.
not violating. This is my property.
You don't know that. You don't know that. I know that. So basically, the lady says, "I'm a customer of Panera Bread."
There's a sign that says
Panera
Bread.
This is an
parking.
additional parking lot of them.
Can't really do nothing.
Ask her to leave.
You can't really do nothing.
Claims that because the sign says Panera Bread customers can park in the lot, he cannot ask the driver to leave the property because he would be violating her civil rights. It is unclear exactly which of the driver's civil rights he thinks telling her to leave a private parking lot would violate, but in general, individuals do not have a constitutional right to simply be present on someone else's property, even when it's held open to the public or owned by the government. In fact, courts have held that even fundamental civil rights, such as freedom of speech, do not override a private property owner's authority to control who has access to the property or what activities will be allowed there.
Unless it's like the police.
In the 1972...
What I mean by that, there was a police officer page. Somebody put some stuff on the police officer page. They deleted it and then got sued because First Amendment rights. And I was like, how can Facebook... how can somebody sue the police about them deleting a Facebook post and it's on a private website, privately owned website, and then somebody left a comment, well, because police officers are a public service, if somebody comments underneath the police page, it's protected by the First Amendment, thereby them deleting it violated their First Amendment right, which led them getting sued, and they actually won the lawsuit. So
case of Lloyd Corp versus Tanner, the Supreme Court determined that the owner of a large public shopping mall had the authority to ban the dissemination of handbills throughout the property, and because the speech cases were. The lot was not held open to the general public like the shopping centers in these cases were, and the driver was simply parked on the property without attempting to exercise speech or any other First Amendment activity. Given the precedent on this issue and the strong protections for property rights that are enshrined in the U.S. legal system, the court reviewing this situation would almost certainly conclude that the driver had no constitutional right to park in the parking lot, and her civil rights would not be violated if Officer Velasquez asked her to leave someone else's private property.
So the officer not knowing, he messed up.
Have you ever had Panera? Had this issue before. This is the second time these people are here. I told them to leave. They came back. I don't see what's so complicated. This is my property. I want them off of it.
The issue is, buddy, you're not showing any proof that this is your property. You're just saying it is, I'm the owner, this and that. And instead of bringing paperwork, which is always more more legally binding than just verbal, it's 100% you need to go get that paperwork. Instead of standing here arguing, call your freaking person with your little AirPods on. Hey, Samantha, come bring the file. It's in desk, whatever, and come bring this to the officer.
I don't care what that sign says. They don't own this property.
You should care.
Can I have your card, sir?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'll be telling.
Yeah, the officer, honestly, because I'm keeping this 100. The officer is definitely being he's definitely not being professional.
If you would like to.
Even though I'm on the people's side, even though the owner of the parking lot's being a douche, you're still a police officer. You're still held above the standard. You should still be respectful to both parties.
You can tell them that this gentleman is really adamant that this is not Panera's parking lot, and if they politely leave. But we cannot make them leave as of now.
Hello, ma'am. This is Officer Sargwinnett, County Police Department. So I know that sign is there and all of that, but the manager here, he doesn't want any cars that for Panera here. So I'm gonna ask you to leave.
I have some training webinar going on right now. It's about half an hour left. I'm gonna finish it and then we go.
No, ma'am. I need you.
You gotta
to
go,
leave,
ma'am.
The manager of the property wants you to leave. You need to leave, okay?
Just park in another spot.
Criminal trespass, okay?
The sign.
Well, we're gonna ask him to take care of that with Panera, but yeah, just park it whatever you need in Panera.
Yeah,
Because it's on the sun. I don't want to sit on the sun. I'm in the shade here. I didn't break any rules.
Well,
I'm not violating anything. The sign says it's Panera parking, so I parked at Panera.
Okay, officer, at this point, you just need to calmly explain why she actually is breaking rules. And then if she doesn't understand, write a ticket.
oh, that's just a sign, okay? But the manager here is saying that you cannot park
Ask
here.
him to remove the sign and then I go.
No, I need you to leave right now, ma'am. Do you have your ID with you?
Just leave, yeah. Just leave, lady. It's not even worth it. It's not
He
worth
doesn't
it.
want you here anymore, okay?
Okay. He handled that the best he could. He did
While
a
Officer
decent
Velasquez
job.
continues to discuss the situation with Mr. Frank, Officer D.E. Osario Giraldo, who arrived on the scene
That is a
shortly
long
after Officer
name.
Velasquez, approaches the driver and asks her several times to leave. She initially refuses, but when Officer Osario Giraldo requests her identification, she silently backs up and leaves the parking lot rather than comply. While Georgia does not have a stop and identify law that requires citizens to identify themselves to police officers during
She didn't have to do that, but she got scared. She was going to end up going to jail. If you want to learn about the law and stuff like that, just go to the original video, link down in the description. He also gives perfect examples about cases that this has happened in, but I just want to see what happened here.
Reasonable suspicion to believe that she was trespassing, and she had actual physical control of the vehicle.
You Minbro LLC? Minbro LLC?
3300 LLC. Agent on file is Charles Paula.
Okay.
Registered address 320 Hall Court.
Okay.
I can't believe I did that with
Yeah, you should tell them. You should take civil action to remove that sign.
Property. If this was your house, imagine I tell you Panera has a sign there. It's irrelevant. This isn't.
You still need to have documentary proof. If this was your house, if Panera Bread put a sign outside my house said this is additional parking, I could just be like, no, it's not. Well, Panera Bread put a sign right there. Okay, well, here's my stuff saying this is my house. I have no documentation with Panera Bread. If you don't want to listen, it is what it is. I'm gonna need you to write down a complaint, whatever, and then take Panera Bread to court.
My property.
But still, you should, because we can't do anything. No, I understand. Look, I'm not trying to argue with you.
Maybe they have
but
an agreement.
you should go and tell them, hey, look.
I own this place. I'm telling you if there's an agreement.
What I'm saying, I'm not trying to argue with you. I got them out, okay?
I want them trespass because they're going to come back and buy me.
He wants to press charges. Okay, if he wants to press charges,
ask
he can.
them to remove that sign because
It doesn't matter. But I told them not to come back, and they came back. I don't really care what the sign says. And I can't believe an officer is arguing with me about my property.
Yeah, because I'm not going to violate the right.
Civil right.
She's not wrong. She says, I'm a customer of Panera Bread, and there's a sign there. Maybe you should take civil action for them to remove that sign. Try to use common sense, sir.
He's not being professional. I got to deduct points for the officer. You're not being professional.
You guys all
Even though you think this guy, even I think this manager is just, he's not doing the right thing. He's just upset and he's used to having his way. You can just tell he's used to having his way. So when people aren't doing what he says, he gets upset. But he has the right to be upset. He's a civilian. You're an officer. You don't get that luxury. You don't get that privilege. If you're not used to being talked down to, don't take the job.
Well, unfortunately, I've never had this issue.
Yeah, because some people are lazy and they're just happy to push people around. I'm not.
Not being professional.
I'm like beyond shocked, but whatever.
You shouldn't be. It's common sense.
Okay. I don't know how you square that, but whatever.
I'm telling you. There's a sign that says Panera Bread, man.
After Mr. Frank walked away from the conversation, the officers left without further incident. According to the Computer-Aided Dispatch, or CAD, report, which Mr. Frank obtained by submitting a public records request, Officer Velasquez made a comment regarding the incident that stated, quote, made contact with female who said she's a customer of Panera Bread, so therefore she is allowed to be in the parking lot. I proceeded to look at the sign that says that additional parking lot Panera Bread with a huge arrow pointing at 3300 Holcomb Bridge Road. I proceeded to acknowledge the sign and leave the female alone. The representative at 3300 was upset because I didn't trespass her and that he couldn't believe that I wasn't doing what he is telling me to do. I told him
he couldn't believe the way you were talking back to him.
That
you weren't being respectful. You weren't being professional.
You
don't have to be respectful as a police officer. You do have to be professional, though. You can professionally disagree with somebody.
Probably have Panera remove the sign. He left in disagreement. Female was not trespassed. Overall, Officer Velasquez...
Buddy here gets he gets a D because he's supposed to know the law. He didn't know the law. The lady didn't get arrested, but he was definitely being unprofessional. I was thinking of giving him a C, but he didn't know the law, so he gets a D.
Gets a C for refusing to assist Mr. Frank in upholding his...
I'm so confused by audit's grading system.
His property rights, demonstrating a fundamental misunderstanding of both Georgia's trespassing laws and the Constitution, and exhibiting a condescending attitude throughout the encounter. Mr. Frank was entirely within his rights to trespass the individual from his property.
But he chose not to.
As an officer...
So how does he get a C?
Of the law, Officer Velasquez should have recognized and defended those rights. While I appreciate Officer Velasquez's desire to avoid violating the driver's civil rights, he was seriously mistaken about the extent of those.
And then he didn't even do his job. The other officer came and actually disengaged the situation. The other officer should be getting the C, C plus, or a B, B minus, something like that. How the hell did the officer that didn't do anything and just be rude to the manager, how did he get a C and not a D?
Those rights, and ironically, refused to recognize Mr. Frank's actual constitutional rights in deference to the non-existent right to park on private property.
This does not sound like a C to me. This sounds like a D.
The basic principles of the Constitution is a vital element of successful police work, and Officer Velasquez could certainly benefit from additional legal training.
So how did he get a C?
He
gets bro, he better not get an A.
Though gets a B because
he get a B and the other guy gets a C?
Although he seemed to have a much better understanding of trespassing laws and property rights than Officer Velasquez and ordered the driver.
He still did wrong too. Man, I don't get audit, bro. I swear to God, bro. I don't get this, man, bro. It was a great video though. It was a great video, but the grading is so weird, bro. He obviously deserved a D, but that's just my opinion. What do you think the officers deserved? They handled the situation to the best they could. The buddy that got a C, he definitely deserved a D because he was being unprofessional as hell. But it's your boy Miss, man. Comment, rate, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. All right, man. So